Hello everyone and welcome back to my favourite room in the house. A little while ago on my channel I did a video about my Leonard core collection where I basically just sat here going through my core figures one by one as a bit of a stock take. And I wanted to do the same today, but this time with my Cobra Vipers. I've got quite a few Vipers in my cabinet from the original run of G.I. Joe in 1982 to 1994 and a few from beyond those years, and I thought it would be a good idea to do a bit of a stock take. But before I do that, I just wanted to let you know that I will be recording this video in one take. So if the dog starts barking or the doorbell rings or I make a mistake or I say and a lot, I do apologise. I'm just an amateur. I'd also like to take the opportunity to thank everybody who has subscribed to my channel to date. If you haven't subscribed and you like what you see, feel free to do that. You might even like to hit the notification bell so you don't miss a thing when I drop another video. All of your likes, all of your shares, all of your comments, all of my subscribers certainly keep me motivated to keep producing videos. So if you like what you see, feel free to join in on the conversation. So where do I start? Well, I've basically got all of the Vipers in my cabinet out and placed onto a box just down here next to my left knee. And I'm going to bring them out one by one. Then I'm going to talk to you about them, maybe tell you what I like about them, and we'll keep a running total of the number of Vipers I have in my cabinet. So, as my good friend Kiwi would say, without any further ado, let us see what we can do. Okay, so the first figure I want to show you is the 1989 Heli Viper. There he is there. He's pretty cool. So obviously 1989 was when G.I. Joe sort of headed towards that early 90s period where a lot of the figures were coming out in bright neon colours. So the Heli Viper definitely is no exception. I really love this guy. I love the fact that his helmet is sort of asymmetrical. It's like the Heli Viper himself. He can only look out of one side of his helmet. These missiles on the legs are pretty cool as well. I feel like they're a bit impractical, and look, they do go missing a lot as a collector, but hey, they look pretty cool too. This backpack sort of doubles as some sort of exhaust feature, which is very cool. And he has a bazooka, which is awesome because the word Fang is written on the bazooka. I'm not sure what that means, whether this bazooka is called a Fang or whether Fang is a brand name. I don't know. But look, HEAT stands for High Explosive Anti-Tank, I think, in Heli Viper. If I've got that wrong, feel free to tell me in the comments below. So that's 1989 Heli Viper. And while I've got him up, I might grab out the 1993 version, which was a drastic change in colour as compared to the original. And I've actually got two of these, which is cool. There is the 1993 Heli Viper. As you can see, it's gone to this crazy neon green colour. The helmet is just as interesting. It sort of makes it hard for the Heli Viper to see out of there. We can only assume that he has some sort of light up display inside of his helmet. But this Heli Viper certainly is one of my favourites. It's from my sweet spot in G.I. Joe. It's a nice, bright green and black colour scheme. And I love him. So there's the first three Vipers in my collection. I'll take them down and see what else we've got here. Alright, what's next? Oh, I'll get this one out. This is one of my all-time favourites. This is a 1989 Night Viper. Now, I didn't have a Night Viper when I was a kid. However, the kids down the road from me did. And look, he was one of the first ones I went to play with when I was over at my friend's place. The Night Viper, look, just an incredible figure. I love the fact that he has this visor on top. The backpack's very, very robotic, and the gun, the fact that it connects to his leg is an absolute bonus as well. But look, again, the color scheme, fantastic. Night Viper is certainly an iconic figure, and I can't wait to see him in the classified run. I might even buy one of those, even though I'm not a full-time classified collector. So that one is the 1989 Night Viper. Keeping a list here so I don't double up, and we can talk at the end about the Vipers in my collection that I'm actually missing, so that'll be interesting. The next one I have here is a 1987 Gyro Viper. So this guy, he was sold with a Cobra Viper helicopter, I reckon. The helmet is actually removable, and I want to be careful here because quite often the Gyro Viper has some rub on his nose, and mine has just a little bit of rub on its nose. Obviously, in putting that helmet off and on, it tends to rub the paint off the end of the Gyro Viper's nose, so I want to be particularly careful. I love this figure. The coloration is just fantastic. It's a real 80s color scheme. I love the fact that he's got these control panels on his legs. Just a really well put together figure, that one. So that is the 1987 Gyro Viper. Very cool figure, that one. I'll put him down and I'll grab something else. Alright, who's this dude? This is the 1990 Rock Viper. He's a very cool figure. He's one of the only Vipers that has a mustache, I think. I can't think of any other Vipers that have a mustache. Maybe we'll come across some in the remainder of this video. I don't have the correct backpack for this Rock Viper, so I do apologise. Still something I'm trying to find, but the important thing with the Rock Viper is that you find him with an intact crutch. The Rock Viper, for some reason, always seems to have a broken crutch, and mine doesn't. So that is the main battle one. I just need to find the backpack and a couple of other accessories to complete this guy. So that is the 1990 Rock Viper, complete with his moustache. Next figure I wanted to show you is one of my favourites. It is the 1988 Toxo Viper. There he is there. He is Cobra's hazardous environment trooper, and you can tell that just by looking at him. He has this sort of anti-chemical warfare suit on and this amazing helmet, which is also removable. It comes off. Just take it off for you there. There we are. It comes off pretty easy. It's a bit different to the Gyro Viper helmet, so I think this is less likely to get nose rub like that Gyro Viper does. But hey, I'll still be careful because 40-year-old plastic can be problematic. So that's the 1988 Toxo Viper. And while I've got him, I might as well get the version 2 Toxo Viper out. That one was from 1991, and I've only got the figure loose for version 2. I don't have any of his accessories. I'm still looking around for them, but the 1991 Toxo Viper is very cool. You might be thinking, why does he look a little bit dirty? So he has this sort of strange milky sort of finish on his visor and his chest. That's because in the 90s, these guys came from the Eco Warriors line, and the play feature of the Eco Warriors was that you run them under some warm water and they change colour. They sort of take on this battle damage effect. And after a while, the feature stops working and the colour changing effect sort of takes hold and becomes a more permanent feature. So he's not actually dusty. That's just the way these figures go. And look, I don't mind it. I think he sort of adds character to the figure. So that's 1988, 1991 Toxo Viper. While I got those two up, I might show you this guy, and I'm not sure whether we can add this bloke to the running tally of Vipers in my cabinet. But look, I'll let you be the judge. He doesn't have Viper in his name, but he certainly looks like that 1991 Toxo Viper, and it is the 1992 Toxo Zombie. So clearly a zombified version of the Toxo Viper. I love the fact that you can see the zombie face in the left-hand side of his broken helmet there. So if you think we should add him to the running tally, I'll let you add him to the running tally, but for this video we'll just disregard for the time being. So that is the 1988 Toxo Viper, the 1991 version 2 Toxo Viper, and the 1992 Toxo Zombie. Put them away and we'll have a look at what's next. Alright, let's talk about a couple of pilots, and the first one that I have here is the 1988 Star Viper. This is a really cool figure. Star Viper was included with the Stellar Stiletto, I think, and it's like this black and gold color combination is just fantastic. The gold seems to be rubbing off the hands of my figure, but that's a sort of a common sort of a problem. I don't mind that. Again, adds character to the figure. And while we've got him here, maybe I'll show you another pilot, and that is the 1986 Sectto Viper. There he is there. The Sectto Viper was the Night Raven pilot, another great Cobra vehicle. That Sectto Viper I actually purchased in 1,000,000 pieces from a eBay seller in France. It was going really cheap, like $10 Australian. And when he arrived, I put him back together with some new screws and a new O-ring, and secretly touched up the silver detailing on his visor and his knee pads to make him look $1,000,000, and he came up really well. So that's two really cool pilots there. It's the 1988 Star Viper and the 1986 Sectto Viper. Alright, the next Viper I want to get out is another favourite of lots of collectors, and it is the 1989 Heli Viper. Now, this figure is awesome. It is fantastic. Obviously a little bit counterintuitive because it's weird for an urban assault trooper to be coloured in this bright orange and blue, but it just works for some reason, and he has become a firm favourite of so many collectors. So that's the 1989 version, and I actually have the next version here as well. So this is the 1993 Heli Viper, who is a similar sort of a build, but obviously coloured in black and yellow. I've actually got two of him. I'm not sure how I ended up with two, but I've got two complete 1993 Heli Vipers. There also was an Heli Viper that came out in 1994, but I don't have him, so we can't count him to the tally. However, I've got a 2000s version of the Heli Viper here as well, which is a cool colorway. So Heli Viper is a great figure, and I'm glad to be building a little bit of an Heli Viper army in my collection. So yeah, that's the 1989 Heli Viper and friends. So we'll put them down and we'll grab some more Vipers out for you to enjoy. Alright, let's head back to 1985, and this is probably one of the earliest Vipers to join the ranks of Cobra, and that is of course the 1985 Teley Viper. Now, if you've seen the cartoon, you would recall the Teley Viper would have certain messages scrolling through his visor, which were quite comical at times. But what a fantastic figure. I love the Teley Viper. And I've also got the Python Patrol version here as well, which is an interesting colorways. This one is from 1989. As you can see, the sculpt is exactly the same, but the colors are a whole lot different. Which one of these is your favorite? Let us know. That's the 1985 Teley Viper and the Python Patrol version from 1989. Alright, I'll put them down and I'll grab some more Vipers. I'm dropping things left, right and centre here. It's a bit funny. The next one I want to show you is a 1989 Frag Viper. Now, the Frag Viper was the second G.I. Joe I was ever given as a kid. I got him for my birthday from my parents. He was my first Cobra figure. My first G.I. Joe figure was Dial Tone, but my first Cobra figure was this Frag Viper, and I loved him, to be completely honest. He has this scoop, which is taken from High. It's a sport played in South America, I think. But the Frag Viper, very, very cool figure, complete with his little Uzi and his grenades on his backpack. So that's the 1989 Frag Viper. Okay, next one is a really cool figure as well. This guy was packaged with the Cobra Stun, I believe, in 1986. So he's one of the original Vipers. 1986 Motor Viper. He's very cool. Similar story with this one as the Sectto Viper that I picked up. I reckon I purchased this from a gentleman in one of the Facebook groups here in Australia, and he wasn't in great shape, but I managed to clean him up, and again I touched up the chrome on his visor. You wouldn't even know I've done that, such a good job. And look, there is some controversy over whether we should touch up our figures, but 100% if I ever come to selling them, when I do advertise them, I will be saying, look, this figure has been touched up. But yeah, he looks almost brand new now. I'm pretty happy with the way he looks. Fantastic figure, fantastic colour scheme, and certainly an awesome driver for that stun vehicle. So that is the 1986 Motor Viper. Alright, for the next one, let's go with another driver, and this one is from 1989. He is called the Track Viper. The Track Viper was packaged with the second version of the Hiss, I believe. The Hiss version 2. He's pretty cool, but I'm sort of often amazed at the size of his head. It is very small. If I get the Motor Viper back up here, there's the Motor Viper there. You can definitely imagine a human getting his head into the Motor Viper's helmet, but the Track Viper helmet looks a lot smaller, so maybe the Track Viper is some sort of cyborg or something. I'm not sure. Well, I guess we'll never know, but 1989 Track Viper, still a pretty good figure, pretty cool sort of colour scheme, and I'm glad to have him in my collection. Alright, next one is a bit of an odd one. Bear with me here. This is a Viper from 1993, believe it or not. It is a Monstro Viper. He is an amazing figure. Have a look at this guy. Obviously, in this late 90s period, G.I. Joe were experimenting with a few different things, and Monstro Viper is a prime example of that. I love him. I picked him up nice and cheap from a mate in local South Australia here by the name of Jesse. So thank you, Jesse, so much for this Monstro Viper. He is a treasured part of my collection. Very cool. Speaking of treasured items in my collection, another Viper that I've picked up recently is a Sectto Viper. Now, the Sectto Viper is from 1988. There he is there. And my good friend Campbell from Campbell's GI Customs and Creations, I might have mentioned him before, he actually gifted me this Sectto Viper. So he is a very generous man, and if you haven't checked him out on YouTube yet, please do so straight after you finish watching my video. But Sectto Viper came with the Cobra Bug, I reckon, and I have the wrong helmet on here, but there's good reason for that. The Sectto Viper helmet is very hard to locate, but somebody told me at the Joe Fest convention that the helmet from the Star Brigade Destro fits straight on to the Sectto Viper. So whilst I was at Joe Fest, I got myself a Destro helmet, and sure enough, it fits straight onto the Sectto Viper. You can put it on that way, or you can put it on that way. Either way, it looks very cool. So that is the 1988 Sectto Viper. Next figure, let's have a look at a Laser Viper, I reckon. And this guy's from 1990. He's another one that's pretty hard to complete because these guns and this joystick arm, they tend to go missing very easily. And just while I'm talking here, one of his tubes has popped off, so I'll stick that back on. It might not stay. It might not. There we go. Yeah, we got it to stay. Looks very cool. The helmet is removable again. I'm not sure what the nose rub situation is like here. Well, there can't be any nose rub because he's wearing a balaclava, which is pretty cool. Actually looks good without the helmet as well, but that helmet's very sort of medieval, very sort of Space Knights sort of look. It's very, very cool. So that's Laser Viper from 1990. You can imagine him flying around in space, shooting at some spaceships. And while we're talking about spaceships, I might as well get this guy out too. Similar sort of setup on this guy. He is from 1988 and he is called the Astro Viper. And I bought this Astro Viper from Glenn Langford of Action Figure Industries. So shout out to Glenn. He was super mint when he rocked up. So thank you so much for that, Glenn. The helmet on this guy is also removable. There you are. He's also wearing a balaclava, so it prevents any of that nose rub. But again, very tricky to find with all of these bits and pieces. The backpack tends to come apart quite easily, and it is possible to lose the joysticks and the weapons and the hoses. So I'm very happy to have him complete. The 1988 Astro Viper was repackaged and recolored in the 90s, and I'm just referring to my list here. It was 1993. The Astro Viper was recolored. There he is. There, he's a nice teal color with some bright orange neon weapons, which certainly gives him a pretty crazy sort of a look. But yeah, I don't mind it. I like all G.I. Joes, I guess. It's sort of like Sophie's Choice with me. I love them all. Funnily enough, in the 2000s, the Astro Viper was recolored in this black and teal, and I think they called it the Shadow Viper. So we'll add him to the running total as well. So that's the Laser Viper with 3 different versions of the Astro Viper. Staying with the mid-80s, we might get the original Viper out. What do you reckon? Is that a good idea? Here he is here. So iconic. 1986 version of the Viper. It's the first version of the Viper, and obviously the one that that everyone remembers and loves to army build. He is just fantastic. Everything about this figure is perfect. The color scheme is great. The weapon is great. The backpack is beautiful. His helmet is amazing. And look, I've got quite a few variations on this Viper in my collection. Obviously, there is the second version, which was a Python Patrol version that came out in 1989. There he is there. Very similar sort of sculpt, but different colors. That is the incorrect rifle there. I'm not lucky enough to have the original Python Viper rifle, so I'm just kicking around with a 1986 rifle on the Python Patrol version. He's very cool. I've also got the one that came out in 1990, which was the Sonic Viper, and he's in my cabinet with a few Lennard Koi accessories, so I do apologise for that, but the accessories that Sonic Viper were supplied with are a little bit impractical, I've got to be honest. So I've kitted him out with some cheapy Lanard bits. So that's the 1990 Sonic version. I've also got the version that looks a little bit different to every other Viper, and he was from 1994, I believe, and just like my Sonic Viper, I'm running with some Lanard accessories on this dude. Obviously a neon upgrade of the Viper. Looks a little bit different, but still stays true to, I suppose, what a Viper should look like, and I'm actually pretty happy with that 1994 version there. I've also got some interesting variations on that Viper. I have a black major version here, which was coloured green and blue. I think we'll count him to the tally because, look, he's a Viper. I love him. I'm not sure where I got that from. Yeah, I can't recall. Might have bought it on an online sale or something. So that's a black major version. I've also got these Vipers from the 2000s, some of these lost era Vipers, and the coloration on this one's pretty cool. This is like an olive drab / brown with a bronze sort of look to the visor, so he's really cool. I've got two of these green and grey versions. I'm not sure how I ended up with two, but I'm very happy to have them. I've got the backpack on one way on the other, on one of them, and the backpack on the other way on the other. If that makes sense at all. I'm not sure if it does, but another good colorways. They're really nice colors. What way do you reckon the backpack should be on? Should I have it with the small part at the top or the small part at the bottom? Maybe you can tell me in the comments below. Or maybe not. Maybe you don't even care. I'm not sure. But look, they're two really cool Vipers as well. And I think I've got one more sitting here. Hey? Yeah, look, this is a bit closer to the 1986 version, but it is a version that came out in the 2000s. When I bought this guy, I was a little bit annoyed because he rocked up with a broken foot. You can see there that the foot has broken. But look, he still has one foot to stand on. So he's going okay. I'm just extra careful when I chuck him on the stand. But how many Vipers is there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 more Vipers to the tally. That's pretty impressive. But look, the original ones were the 1986 version, the 1989 Python version, the 1990 Sonic version, and the 1994 Viper. He looks a little bit different, but is the same character at the end there. So I'll put all of them down, and I'll get some more Vipers out, I guess. Let's have a look here. Right. Take them all down. Lots of Vipers. Vipers for days. They're very cool. Alright, who's next? Oh, this guy's pretty cool and pretty special to me as well. This is a 1992 Heli Viper. I actually bought this guy when I went to visit Adam in Melbourne. We went to Lobo's, the toy store around the corner from Adam's house. It's probably Australia's best toy store, or one of the best. And they had this Heli Viper on sale in the cabinet, and I snapped him up. He was supplied with some sort of helicopter, I guess, back in the 90s. So that's the 1992 Heli Viper. I reckon there's some Night Creeper elements here. I think the helmet is from the original Snow Serpent, so fair bit of reuse, just recolored, but a fantastic figure all the same. Okay, next one I want to show you is quite a popular Viper, primarily because of what he did in the comics, and that is the 1990 Saw Viper. So if you're familiar with the comics, you'll know that the Saw Viper was actually responsible for the deaths of quite a few of our favourite G.I. Joe characters. It was an amazing run of issues in the original comic book run where the Saw Viper got up to no good. My figure is missing some accessories, so I'm missing the bipod, and I'm missing a string of bullets for this guy, I think. But look, Saw Viper crutches easily break, so I'm very happy to have a Saw Viper where the crutch is intact. Another one from 1990 is the Range Viper. Here he is here. Another really cool figure. The helmet looks like it's a skull and brains, or that could be his skull and his brains. I don't know. Who knows what Cobra are up to? Maybe the Range Viper is another cyborg. He's a half human, half snake, half robot, half zombie. Who knows? Range Vipers just look amazing. I have this amazing weapon with an ammunition canister, nice little knife, a little rocket launcher, and a backpack, and a really cool color scheme there. So they're both from 1990. That's the Saw Viper and the Range Viper. Really cool figures. And I'll get the next ones up. All right. Let's go to the snow. What do you reckon? This guy's from 1987. And he is the Ice Viper. He was packaged with Cobra Wolf, I think. I think that's what the vehicle is called. I've lost his size, so I've actually given him some size from my Leonard core tub. Those size were supplied with Dragon Han or something from the core range, but they're pretty good stand-ins, I think. Ice Viper's helmet is removable. It's a cool helmet. I'll see if I can get it off. There we go. It's a very, very cool helmet, as you can see. The Ice Viper looks great with just his balaclava on as well. So really cool figure, that guy. Definitely one of my favourites, and easily one of the best Vipers in that 1982 to 1994 run. So yeah, it's 1987 Ice Viper. Only two left. We'll go with this guy. This is the Techno Viper. There he is there. He is also from 1987. Color scheme on this one is pretty wild. It's a two-tone purple sort of setup. The best thing about the Techno Viper is this backpack with his accessories. So he has a set of pliers, he has a spanner, and he has a hammer or an axe there, as well as his laser rifle or whatever that thing may be. Clearly ready to do some engineering for the Cobra ranks. So that is the 1987 Techno Viper. And the last one here is the 1988 Gyro Viper. Again, one of my favorites for an all manner of reasons. He was supplied with this awesome Stingray, as you can see. Some great flippers there. His left hand is webbed, which really fits with the Hydro aesthetic. This mask is amazing, and even if you flip the mask up, his face looks amazing as well. But yeah, I think I took a photo of this guy for Joe Fest of him emerging from a sewer drain, and it won a prize for me. So I really love the Gyro Viper. Now, if I was to give you a quick rundown of the Vipers that I don't own from the initial run, they are as follows. So I don't have a 1983 Viper Pilot. He's really hard to find. He was the first Viper, came packaged with a glider. Looks like the original Cobra Trooper, Cobra Officer, maybe with the sculpting of one of the original green shirt G.I. Joes. So the Viper Pilot's really hard to find. I don't have an AVAC. The AVAC from memory came with the Terradrome, and AVAC, whilst it doesn't have Viper in the name, the file card certainly indicates that the AVAC came from the Viper pool. So I need a Viper Pilot from 1983 to 1986 AVAC, and there's a couple from the late 90s that I don't have as well. So 1989 Aero Viper I still need. He's one from the 80s, but most of the other ones are from the 90s. 1992 Ninja Viper, which really hard to come by. Again, I think he was a mail away figure. I need a 1993 Nitro Viper. 1993 seems like a tricky year to find. I also need a Bio Viper, a Cyber Viper, and a Mega Viper. I think Bio Viper was another one of those strange non-O-ring figures. And then there's a 1994 Heli Viper, which is a little bit different to the two Heli Vipers that I showed you before. And there is a 1994 Techno Viper, so a variation on the one there in front of you. That Techno Viper is interesting. I think it's a brown and purple colour, which looks a bit strange at first, but certainly grows on you as you spend more time with it. So whilst I've got a fair few Vipers in the cabinet, there's still a few gaps I need to fill, and I'll keep plugging away at that. But look, in the meantime, if you've enjoyed this video, if you've made it this far, please feel free to slap a like on it. Maybe even leave a comment. I always reply to the comments. I've been overwhelmed with the response that all of my videos have been getting, and they certainly keep me motivated to record more. And look, if you haven't subscribed, please feel free to do that right away. I'd be glad to have you on board. Sort of aiming for 500. That would be awesome. I think I'm at 400 and something now, so if you can get me to 500, I will be eternally grateful. That's all I've got for you today. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll catch you next time. Gijoe.